What's up, everybody? We're back here again, coming off the weekend, the hangover of UFC 319. What a card it was. But we got to jump into this week. This Saturday, Shanghai, China, August 23rd, fight night. Main event, light heavyweight clash. Number 13, Johnny Walker versus number 14, Jamie Yang. Man, I gotta be honest. I don't know how Johnny Walker is getting these main events. I mean, the guy's coming off 2 losses. I mean, he came off a loss against Ankalaev, and then his last fight, Volkan Oldemir, and he gets stopped in both. And now he's getting a young, up-and-coming Zhang Yang. Zhang Yang is coming off of 3 wins. I mean, he KOs Ribeiro, beats Ozzy Diaz via decision, and then he beats Anthony Smith round 1, sends him into retirement. Everybody knows Anthony Smith was just there for a last hoorah, a last send-off. Really wasn't there to really do anything, you know. I mean, it's kind of sad, you know. Anybody who watches MMA, I mean, Anthony Smith is a good dude. Really good dude, but just didn't go out the way that we all expected him to go out. But Jamie Yang puts an exclamation point on that, sends him out, and but that's the heavyweight co-main, or the heavyweight main event. Johnny Walker, Jamie Yang. Johnny Walker number 13 after those 2 losses. Jamie Yang number 14 after those 3 wins in a row. I think Jamie Yang is going to get the job done. I think Johnny Walker is just kind of all over the place. I mean, before the 2 losses, he has 1 win, one win against Anthony Smith, just like Jamie Yang. He has a win over Paul Craig, but then he has a loss against Cutelaba. Round 1 stoppage against Cutelaba. So he's kind of been up and down, and I just don't know if he's ready for that challenge. You know, Jamie Yang is a surging light heavyweight right now. He's trying to make his mark. He's in his home country in China. The way he looked against Anthony Smith, I mean, he looked like a world beater. But then again, it's Anthony Smith. You know, he's already had 1 foot out of the door. So we'll see what happens with that fight. I'm personally going to pick Jamie Yang to get the job done. Johnny Walker has just not shown me anything in his last 5 fights that shows any kind of consistency. I mean, any kind of just drive to want to get to the next level. You know, he'll perform well 1 or 2 fights, and then he just slacks off the next one, and he's getting beat by guys he shouldn't get beat by. He's beating guys he probably shouldn't beat. It's just one of those things where he's just up and down, and I just don't know where his head is at. And I'm 100% sure Jamie Yang in his home country is looking to show out and show up. He's trying to make a statement. He wants to be in that top 10. And if he can get the job done with a big finish against Johnny Walker, I think he breaks into the top 10. And he's going to start calling out some of those big heavyweight or light heavyweights after this, after Saturday night. So, yes, I'm going to take Jamie Yang, and I will take him by finish in the 2nd round. I'm not sure if it's going to be a knockout or a submission, but I think Jamie Yang, with all the adrenaline from the crowd in his home country, I think he gets it done, and I think he's going to put Johnny Walker away. Co-main event, and I don't want to harp on this too much, but I think that Aljamain Sterling and Brian Ortega are getting hosed on this fight night. I truly believe they should have been the main event. Like, I understand you're in Shanghai, China. You're in that next new big market, and Jamie Yang is an up-and-coming guy at 205. But to have a former world champion at rank number 7 at Aljamain Sterling, who came up a weight class, former world champion versus a former world champion contender in Brian Ortega, and not have that as the main event, that it just blows my mind. It's absolute madness. I truly believe these 2 guys should have headlined this card and had Jamie Yang on the co-main and had these 2 guys headline this card, because Brian Ortega, I mean, what a warrior. What can you say? I mean, yes, he's coming off a couple losses. He lost to Diego Lopez at UFC Noche, but he was coming off a big win against Yair Rodriguez in Mexico City. Before that, yes, he lost to Yair, had the loss against Volk, And then the big win against Zombie before that, back in 2020. But, I mean, everybody knows the name Brian Ortega. Everybody knows what kind of fight he's going to bring to the cage. And then Aljo, of course, I truly believe Aljamain Sterling is probably one of the most underrated champions that there's ever been. He never got the respect. I think the company never got behind him after the way that he won the title against Piotr Jan with the, you know, with the foul, and then he got the win by disqualification. But then he came back and he defended against Piotr Jan, and he won decisively. And then he goes on and he beats TJ Dillashaw by KO in the second round. Then he goes on and he beats Cejudo by decision in the title defense against, you know, Triple C, the guy the king of cringe. Olympic gold medalist, two-time division champion Cejudo. Yes, he loses against O'Malley, but I think they really rushed, after that Cejudo fight, they really rushed him back in. I think it was only 2 months. O'Malley was coming off like a little bit of a layoff in between. They fed him O'Malley, and he gets KO'd, you know. But, I mean, he defended 2 times, and he was willing to fight often. And I just don't think Aljo ever got the respect after the Piotr Jan win when he initially won the title via disqualification. But it wasn't his fault. He got kneed illegally. So, I mean, and now that, you know, he loses to O'Malley, he beats Cater, he loses to Evelev, which I thought he won that fight. I mean, it was a grappler's delight. That fight was, I mean, anybody who grapples and watched that fight knew how good of a fight that was. I mean, they were back and forth, switching positions. The scrambles were absolutely wild. You know, top position, back position, you know, cutting over, trying to pass guard, trying to switch, hitting switches on each other. I mean, that fight was absolutely amazing. You know, I gave the nod to Aljo in that fight. They gave it to Evloev. I mean, I just think it comes down to the judging. I don't know if the judges actually know what they're looking at when it comes to a heavy grappling match like that. I think they just, honestly, I don't know what they're looking at, because that match was really close, and everybody knows when it turns into a grappling match that the judges just are not, they're not worthy of scoring those matches, because they really don't know what they're looking at. Those guys don't train. They don't know what a hold is or what position is. They just see strikes, and that's how they score the fights. And it's sad, because I thought Aljo got judged not so fairly on that fight. You know, I thought he made it a good fight. Of course, Evloev had a great performance as well, but I had Aljo winning that fight, but it's not how it goes. So now he finds himself in front of Brian Ortega. Both guys coming off the Gracie lineage. Of course, Aljo through Renzo Gracie, you know, Renzo Gracie, John Danaher, Matt Serra to Aljo, and then Brian Ortega's side all the way through Horian, and then Henner Gracie to Brian Ortega. So it's going to be a Gracie versus Gracie Jiu-Jitsu match. I will give the advantage to Brian Ortega on the feet. I think he's a little bit more crisp, or a little bit more willing to throw himself into the fire when it comes to the stand-up. Aljamain has shown that he will kick, he will strike, but he's always looking to set it up for the takedown. And I think Brian Ortega's been in there with some guys who are willing to get down and throw. I mean, he's been in there with the best of the best. I mean, he's been in there with Volk. He's been there with the Korean Zombie. He's been in there with Yair. He's been in there with Diego Lopez. Like, these guys, with the exception of Korean Zombie, Volk can wrestle, he can grapple. Yair, after he submitted Josh Emmett, he's shown that he can grapple off his back. Lopez, Brazilian guy, Jiu-Jitsu black belt, he can grapple. But I think he's had the better competition at 45 so far, with the exception of Evloev, who Aljo had. But I think it's just going to be who can control the center, who can control the stand-up for the most part. But I'm really looking forward to when it hits the mat. I really am. And I know a lot of people don't like that. They always want people to get stood up. But I really want to see whose jiu-jitsu is better. Is Brian Ortega going to be better off of his back? Or is Aljo going to be able to get to the backpack position and control Brian Ortega on his back. So, man, that's a hard one to call, man. I really don't know how that one's going to go. I will say if it stays on the feet, I'm going to give the edge to Brian Ortega. The longer it stays on the mat, if Aljo can force scrambles to make Brian Ortega get off of his back, because we all know Brian likes to throw the triangles up. That's why his name is T-City. He loves the triangles, and he will always snatch up a guillotine, especially off his back. I mean, we saw it against Volk. Volk almost got stopped twice in the same round with a triangle and a really, really, really deep guillotine off the back, So if Aljo can keep the fight kind of at distance during the grappling aspect and not let Ortega tie him up off his back, if Aljo can make him scramble and turn to like a turtle position and then try to backpack him from there, it's going to be real interesting. But I don't think Ortega's going to give him the opportunity to backpack him because he knows that's where Aljo flourishes, on that backpack position. But if it stays on the feet, I'm going to give the edge to Ortega. I think the longer it stays on the mat, on the ground, I think Aljo will figure a way to make Ortega turn his back, and he'll backpack him. But if I have to choose a winner in this fight, initially I wanted to go Aljo. I thought his grappling would be too strong. He's big. But Ortega's big too, man. He's a big 45er. I'm gonna go Ortega. I'm gonna do flip flop right now. I'm gonna go Ortega on this one. Ortega by decision. I think their grappling is gonna cancel each other out, and I think it's gonna end up on the feet a lot longer than Aljo wants to. And I think Brian's gonna be able to use his hands a little bit more, like he did in the Korean Zombie fight, and I think he's gonna be able to do enough to get the job done. The feature fight, heavyweight bout, number 3, Sergey Pavlovich versus number 6, Waldo Cortez Acosta. Sergey coming off a decision win against George Anzino Rosenstruik, and then, of course, he had the losses of Volkov and Aspinall. But I think those were kind of just bad matchups, man. I think the Aspinall fight was short notice, of course. And Pavlovich did land a good right hand in that fight. But Aspinall is just, he's the champion for a reason. He came back, landed a good shot, got him off, finished him first round. Aspinall is the new interim, at the time, interim world champion. The Volkov fight was... yeah, man, that was a hard one, man. The Volkov versus Pavlovich fight. And then his last fight that he won against Rosenstruik was a decision. It wasn't very eventful. It was not a lot of fireworks, what you would expect from a Pavlovich fight. But I think he was just trying to get his bearings back. He'd just been beat 2 times in a row when he was at the number 1 spot. Aspinall knocks him off. He has to come back. He fights tough guy in Volkov. Volkov beats him. And he just needs to get back on the winning side. Beats Rosenstruik in a lackluster decision, but hey, a win is a win. So he's there. He gets Cortez Acosta. Acosta's coming off like 5 wins already. To be honest, I really haven't seen anything really significant from Acosta, man. I'm not trying to sound like a hater, but his last win against Spivak was a decision, and I thought Spivak beat him. The polar bear. I thought Spivak beat him. And Acosta got the nod. And I'm not sure what the judges were looking at that night, but they gave it to Cortez Acosta. I thought Spivak did enough to win that fight. But, it is what it is, man. Now he's sitting here with 5 wins in the UFC, and now he gets a real test against Sergey Pavlovich. I'm taking Sergey Pavlovich, and I'm taking Sergey Pavlovich by knockout. I think he's going to get back on his winning ways. I think he wants to right those wrongs against Volkov and Aspinall. He wants to get put on a rocket ship back up to the number 1 contender spot. I think Pavlovich finishes Cortez Acosta by knockout no later than the 2nd round. And those are the top 3 fights I wanted to cover. There's some more undercard fights, but I have to re-look over them and really break down the opponents and stuff like that. But the top 3 is what I really wanted to cover tonight, just to get a jump after the 319 card. You know, this card will most likely be during the daytime here in the United States, so it'll be early fights, which I don't mind at all. But there you go. I'm taking Zhang Mingyang, Brian Ortega, Sergey Pavlovich for Saturday. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. See you guys soon. Peace.